So today is career and self-development. This is the first and easiest to kind of jump our way in. So if we can go right in there, here are the 8 competencies, and today is career and self-exploration. So I'm going to just jump right here into self-reflection. Since no one is here in person, you don't have to respond at all. But if we can go on to the next one, this is just for you to reflect. True or false? Just think for yourself on your own practices. If someone would like to give a thumbs up or come off mute, no pressure. You don't have to respond at all. But for us here in the room, in coming up with these, I was thinking of whatever back in the day when I was teaching or in my other professional work prior to coming to the college. I was thinking of the best way to incorporate career and self-exploration. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do for my career at age 19, 20, or 21. And my college provided all the resources I needed to be successful. So I'm seeing a thumbs down here in the room. No pressure for the folks on Zoom, but just take a moment. How would you respond to this?
I'm going to give a sideways thumb, Laura.
Okay.
And I'm just saying that because I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but I had no idea what my college had to offer in
Okay.
terms of support.
Thank you for sharing that. So I saw Janet gave a thumbs down. We have a thumbs up. We had a thumbs down in the room and then a halfway thumbs. Okay, great. I know for me it was a thumbs down. And I did mention in an earlier session, I've been on a journey, and that's really what drives me to this work in particular, is because I want to just raise awareness for people who are just exploring their journey. And that's what career and self-exploration is. We've got online tools, we've got real people tools to help people in this exploration.
We have a chat.
Oh, we have a chat, thank
So-
you.
Maya says I'm the opposite. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how my college could help me in school.
Oh, excellent, thank you for sharing that. Great. Okay, let's move to the next one. So my curriculum prepares students to be employed with industry-ready skills in a competitive market. True or false? I should have done thumbs up or down.
Yeah, that with the Zoom, that'll work.
Yeah, good reflection. And I don't want to call people out. You don't have to respond. Okay,
Yeah, we're on the right track with our transfer curriculum in my field.
Excellent.
So,
excellent. Okay. So again, this is just for you to respond, or you to just think and be reflective. I will say some folks have reached out to me after I shared the Lightcast reports. One particular program head asked if they could get a full, a comprehensive report of all of the different content areas so they could evaluate the program health. So I thought that that was awesome to look at industry reports or trends for the next 10 years. And I think that kind of speaks to this. Okay, and was there a chat in there too for that?
Yeah, Janet had mentioned that students are ready to transfer, but not maybe go right to work.
Okay,
So
okay,
depends on why they're here.
exactly, great. Okay, I expose students to a variety of careers and fields related to my content and assist with resume writing, mock interviews, internships, and serving as a reference when applying to jobs. Okay, I see a thumbs up in Zoom world. Excellent.
I think parts of that, it's more for me, the like referencing, being a reference and kind of talking about careers, but not getting into the nitty gritty of resume writing and internships.
Okay. Okay. True to most of that, haven't helped with resumes or mock interviews. Okay. And that's all right, however you respond to those. I will say a couple students, specifically referencing, serving as a reference, Some students that I've talked to, they've come to me and said, I don't know who to list as a reference, and they've been at varying states along their educational journey. They might have a part-time job outside of school, but the first thing I've asked is, oh, do you have a professor or a teacher that can serve as your reference? That would be a great person who can speak to your character, your work ethic. So just keep in mind, I am encouraging students to have those conversations with you.
I used to have mine do a resume, and then when I had to bring it to 7 weeks, I took that out, but maybe I need to put it back in. What I found was they didn't have anything to put on it.
Oh, we can talk more about that.
Okay.
Yes, definitely. Okay. How about this? So my academic team reviews data to see when students graduate and where they go after leaving Reynolds.
This is something that we traditionally have not done a good job of here at Reynolds. And I'd love to see us do better as we move on from this, particularly I think for transfer students. It's been tricky to follow.
Okay. Well, you all remember what Dr. Pando said at the in-service the other week. We have something like 43% of our students who don't return after the fall semester to the spring semester. And that is very troubling and should be disturbing to all of us. We don't know where the students have gone, what their specific scenarios are. Could be any number of challenges. What my team is responsible for, we just had a meeting about it this morning. We're all, no matter what our duties are, we're all responsible for retention. And so even though I'm career services, one of my duties or one of my goals is to incorporate retention goals into our work. And then student support services, we have military services on my team, so we are tracking that in particular. But as far as academic goals, I was just curious what your perspectives were on that. So not only when students graduate, where they go after leaving Reynolds. Okay, good to know. So you might be wondering, what is career and self-exploration for those NACE competencies? This is actually the definition, and you can take a look at that. There's nothing worse than someone reading a slide to you. It's horrible, even though I just did it for those others. But in general, it is encouraging someone, incorporating ways to be aware and providing opportunities for someone to learn about their strengths, their weaknesses, and career paths. I just summarized that. But we'll look at specific ways for you to incorporate this into your curriculum at the end. Are there any questions about this before we move on to how it can be incorporated into your curriculum? Does this make sense for people?
Yeah, thumbs up over here.
Okay, great.
All right. We are now going to shift gears to where I am going to show how I've connected this idea of career and self-development into my courses. And so I am going to change the camera view here just so you can see me.
Oh.
Hi, everybody. And because I'm going to be here at the computer kind of showing you a couple things in my Canvas courses. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I call my careers module that I build into Canvas. And then I'm going to show you my careers exploration assignments that I do. So part of the work that I've done on this is through a larger project that I was involved with that was looking to broaden participation and diversity within the geosciences. One of the things that's well known in STEM is that geoscience is not traditionally one of the disciplines that students come to college excited to be a part of. Generally speaking, most students kind of stumble back into geology as a result of taking their first gateway class. So for me, that would be Geology 105. Now, this actually sort of happened to me in the sense that I had rocks, and so I said people come back to geology. A lot of times people have an interest, but they don't realize you can make a career out of playing in the dirt, or not even outside. You can do it in the lab too. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is really start to emphasize that geoscience is a diverse field and there are lots of different careers that are available. So I'm going to jump over to, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute here, and I'm going to jump over to my Canvas sites, and I'm going to show you a couple things. So first, let me get to my modules here in my Canvas shell, and come back to Zoom, share my screen. Yes, I talk to my students all the time when I teach too. So here is the list of modules for my Geology 105 class. And at the end of all of my Geology 105 classes, I have what I call my extra geology resources, careers, and other fun stuff section. And so this is just a series of things that I've built out that I continually update every semester. And so in here I have the career resources link and then just some other fun stuff that I can encourage students to think about. So under the Geoscience Career Resources, this is a list of curated websites that have information for students to find out more information about geoscience careers. So first I have two of our main professional societies, the Geological Society of America and the American Geosciences Institute. And this one in particular, the first, has some great videos, like let's see if we follow this, if it'll actually come with me here. Sometimes I know the websites don't always click through when you're sharing screen. Looks like that's not happening. We'll come back, I'll pull it up in another slide here. Let me see if I can get that to pop up here. Oh, it's being, okay. Let me go to this one, I'll share this screen with you. Here's the AGI page that has their Geosciences Careers brochure. And so this is a great video that has a lovely overview of what geoscience careers are like. And this is what I might show students, say, in an advising appointment. And then there's also some other information here. There's some sort of data spreadsheets. But then there's also information about jobs, workforce data, and then there's a whole section for students that talks about scholarships and internships and that sort of thing here. So this is one resource that I like to share with my students. Now, if we go back to the Canvas page, so here, sorry for all the screen flipping here. I also have information about various scholarships that are available to students that are interested in careers in geoscience. The Virginia Space Grant applies because it's STEM related. NAGT is the National Association of Geoscience Teachers, and this particular award is specifically for two-year college students. But then I've also got a lot of information about different internships and jobs, particularly highlighting some that are related to geoscience fields, like through the U.S. Geological Survey, national parks, also the National Science Foundation, REUs, which are research experiences for undergrads. And then I also have a wide variety of professional societies that are related to geosciences as well. And this is a great variety that we've got because we have different subpopulations that tackle some of those diversity issues. And they're also great resources for finding out additional information. One that I have interacted with quite a bit, this International Association for Geoscience Diversity. This group specifically works at getting at students with physical disabilities and getting them out in the field and providing alternative opportunities for those types of students. And so that's a really excellent resource. So the key here is that this is just simply something that I've created in Canvas. It's a module I can point students to when they come in for an advising appointment, they mention an interest in geoscience. It's a quick place for me to find all those links that I like to refer students to. But I also use this for an assignment in the class as well. So if we go over and check out my assignments here, and we come down, one of the things that I built into the class is the Careers in Geoscience activity. Let me find it here. Here it is. And so this assignment is one that I built in, and it's a small sort of reflective assignment. But again, the point of it is to increase awareness of geoscience careers. So part of it begins with what we call a scientist spotlight review. And so if we look at this PowerPoint, this is a series of slides that have been curated with my colleagues across the country to highlight a wide variety of geoscientists that work in different fields, both private and public, federal and state. And it provides links to information about their careers. So for example, what I have the students do is take a look at these and pick one or two of these scientists to kind of read a little bit more about and report back on. And so one of the things that you'll notice is that I'm trying to get, again, diverse representation here. So there's that sense of, I see people like me doing this kind of work. And so the key here is that there's a lot of interesting stuff. Several of these folks have started at community colleges, which again, I think is kind of inspiring in some cases. But the idea is that these profiles are not that hard to pull together because you're basically working with materials that are already on professional society websites, or there are some YouTube videos that are out there, or TED Talks that folks have done. And so it's pretty easy to curate these if you're interested in doing this kind of thing in your field. And so the idea is that after looking through this, and again, trying to look at a variety of geoscientists, some that work in the field versus some that work in the lab. That's another thing I wanted to emphasize. The students take a look at this and then they look at some other information. So two other things that I have them look at are some career and salary data. So the salary data is always interesting because they're like, oh, you can actually make money doing this. And you don't have to have a master's or PhD. You can work in the environmental industry and probably make at least 70K with a BS easily. And then there are different categories of employment. So again, seeing different types of geoscientists out there. Then I have them, again, just answer some reflective questions. And I find this a fascinating way to start to talk to students who might be interested but didn't know how to approach me about exploring one of these types of careers. The other thing that I find interesting is like there are students that say, absolutely not, I want to be a nurse, absolutely not, I want to be a historian. But one of the things that they find interesting is thinking about, oh, you can find these types of salary data out in the world for other disciplines too, because I send them to Bureau of Labor Statistics sites so they can see some of that information. Sometimes they ask really interesting questions about like, well, how did you get started in this? What is your career path? And so I comment back to them on their sites, or sometimes I'll make a little video comment to the whole class after grading them. But it's just a fun way to get them thinking about careers that might be on what they're familiar with. Sometimes it's so fun to see them be like, I had no idea people actually do this, right? And I think that's the thing. A lot of students aren't exposed to a variety of careers. So any questions on these things? Okay. One other one I wanted to share with you is in my historical geology class. I want to show you a cool blog that I use too that allows them to explore careers in another way. And so for this class, I do it as a discussion board just to kind of mix things up a bit. And so in this class, we go to a website called the Time Scavengers, Meet the Scientist blog. So I would encourage you to check into your own personal professional society groups and see if they have this kind of information. Many of them in the STEM fields are doing this now, but I have seen some of these in social sciences too. But these different blogs are really kind of interesting. So again, here's what it looks like. So one of the things that I love about the Time Scavengers website is that this is really about fossils and thinking about climate and life over time. This blog was actually started by a former Reynolds student who is now a professor at, she's at a SUNY school, I believe. But the cool thing about this is that one of the things that they do on this website is not only have scientific information, but they also have the Meet the Scientist pages. And so what's neat about this is, again, anybody can actually participate. You can, if you're interested in doing this, you can create a post. But the idea is that they have people talking about their work, showing themselves in the field. And so students can go through a large history of these and hear about and see what other people are doing. And so once again, the key here is that some of these folks are currently employed, some of them are still in graduate school. But the idea is that you're getting a sense of how people have done it. What was their journey like? And so for my course activity, the idea is that this is just one of their discussion boards in a week. Again, the idea is just trying to emphasize, let's learn a little bit more about geoscience careers. And again, it's often one of those things that creates some curiosity and triggers questions that happen later in class. So, any questions about these different activities? Okay. All right, so we're going to go back to the presentation. And go back to presentation. So then I've got a couple of other examples that were shared with me by my colleague, Kathy Layou, thinking about how she does some of this in an education class. And so two of the documents that Kathy provided with me, or for me, are here. And I'll try to click on these and see if it'll take us where we need to go. Ooh, good, it's working. So the first of these is from her professional foundations class. And this particular assignment is looking at explaining to pre-service teachers what they need to know. Kathy, since you're here, would you want to add any commentary on this?
Yeah, I don't know that that'll open the task.
Yeah, this one, it
Okay.
wouldn't open for me.
So I think the kind of cool part is that there's this one graphic on there that shows this can be used for pre-teachers who are in school just learning, like these are the things you need to know. But it's also used for professional development for teachers that are already working in the field. And the graphic kind of shows, you know, the arrows going both directions. How you're never actually there, you're always learning and always changing and adapting and always coming back to this, the in-task. Because you want to keep yourself focused and centered. So I just have them look at a couple of the pieces, not everything, because they're just getting started, and so there's some stuff in there that they're like, oh my gosh, no. And then they choose, well, what am I already good at? And try to, you know, to get them going down that pathway.
And see, I like that idea of a self-reflective question of sort of thinking about strengths, but then also maybe thinking about what might I need to build on.
Yeah, right. Do that too.
The other link we've got here is an activity that you do that's looking at the early childhood professional credentials and qualifications. So you want to tell us a little bit about this one?
So for this one, I have them go to the licensing standards to find out, well, what's the job you want? This is our administration class. And so a lot of our students come in thinking, I want to open my own childcare center. They think you know, you're the boss and you eat bonbons all day. So this gives them a idea of really what a director at a center has to do and what the qualifications are. That was the first one. And then I have them go into the occupational outlook handbook to say, well, will their jobs, you know, what jobs are out there, what possibilities, like you said, they don't even realize how many possibilities there are. You don't have to be a preschool teacher or the director of the center. There's lots of other things that you can do as well.
And I think that it looks like this also shows some of those sort of adjacent occupations that can factor in as well, right?
And if I could just put a plug in here for career coach, because this will also, I don't know what that link to an external site is, but career coach here will give you all of that relevant and current information.
Awesome.
Which I just learned about in
Yes.
the last,
Yes.
Yes.
in the last flow that you did for us.
Awesome.
So the point here is that it's not that challenging to create assignments that allow students this opportunity to explore careers. And I would argue that even if students aren't going to be geoscience or education majors, there's still a value to having this kind of information discussed in your classes. Because again, it raises student awareness of what's going on in the world, what kinds of jobs are available. So maybe if it's not them, it could be their children or a friend that they could recommend this information to. So this is where we would like to take some time and encourage you to take a look at your own syllabus. Or again, those of you who are online, maybe you can pull it up in front of you for one of your classes that you teach. And I'd love you to think about, where are you currently doing this in your classes? Do you have any assignments that are emphasizing career exploration within your field? And if so, what kinds of information are they actually exploring? So again, the question is, are you looking at skills that are being developed? Are you looking at types of salary information, job opportunities, sort of what does the job market look like? And how are you asking them to engage with that information? So is it a reflective writing assignment? Is it a more interactive discussion board? I'd love to hear about what you're doing. The other thing that I would like to pose to you all is, do you see opportunities where you could add additional career exploration into your courses? So let's take a minute or two, maybe pull up your syllabus, and then I'd love to hear from those of you who are on Zoom, how you might be doing some of these things in your courses already.
One of the things I find really interesting is that the students always pull up salaries and they get average. And that's really different than starting. And so that's something to point out.
That's a really good point.
Well, again, I hate to keep circling back, but I am like the dead horse here, beating it, or like tooting the horn with the career coach. It will give you starting, it'll give you a median, and then average over time. And so it would be, if folks aren't already using it, it would be great to, incorporate that at some point
Absolutely.
in their teaching.
I don't think anybody's using it yet because we didn't know about it.
Right.
Maybe spring.
I will say that for those of us that teach SDV courses, it's very easy to see how we can build some of this in, and it's just naturally there already, especially if we're doing the SDV 101s.
Right.
And so we do this, but Janet and I have talked about adding perhaps some of the career coach back into, or changing out the assignments that are there for using career coach, because it's a great resource that we've got to use.
Right.
And I'd like to play with it more too.
Good.
But something else I'm thinking is, I'd love to go see like what happens with it if we put in the geoscience information
Yes.
for our region, what
Yes.
comes up.
Yes, and just a quick note for that, so SDV 100 is being rewritten for the spring to incorporate career coach.
Excellent.
So that's good and exciting.
Excellent.
And if you haven't played around with career coach, there are ways that you can manipulate. I know that many of you have heard me say you can do the self-assessment, but you can also search by program, you can search by career. So to your point, you can type in some of the geoscience either by program or career, because geoscience may be a program, but it also may be a career option. So, and all those careers that you just showed us, they may have geoscience as a background, but as far as a career occupation,
Exactly.
maybe different.
Yeah, so like you might be a mining worker.
Right.
Right, or like a mine operator, or even, like, the thing is, just thinking about a mine, for example, you've got all the support crew that does all the machinery and all that stuff. And so there are some students that, again, might be sort of interested in what's happening in the class, but they're more mechanically inclined.
Yes.
But they could get involved in something that's related as that sort of, again, adjacent field.
Yes. Yes. So the occupation title might be different.
So those of you on Zoom, how are you doing some of this career work already in your class, or where do you see opportunities to expand? Maya, I see you unmuted. You want to share something?
Yeah. So I'm not a classroom instructor. I train peer tutors. And the majority of our tutors are either students here at Reynolds or at a 4-year or even grad students. And our training, we have training workshops at the beginning of each semester and then monthly meetings. And I base most of it on, what comes from my field. So I use CRLA, the College Reading and Learning Association guidelines, and a lot of it does kind of overlap, I notice, with the 8 competencies. So I'm glad to know about NACE and know about these so that I can think about it more intentionally.
Excellent.
when
That's
I'm
awesome.
developing the activities that we do for training.
Excellent.
That's great. Anyone else want to share from Zoom?
So how can we, sorry, I'm not in Zoom, but I am.
Yeah.
And I'm in the classroom. I'm thinking about my practicums. How can we incorporate, I mean, I just have them doing observations and we're looking for certain things that we've talked about in class, like classroom management skills and assessment and transitions and all that good stuff. But how can I have them incorporate some of this? Like, is this what you want to do? What else did you see while you were out there? What other jobs might there be?
I can answer that. So when your students are doing their practicums, they have a cooperating teacher. They are meeting other teachers in the field. So part of that reflection is meeting and experiencing that while they're in the field. So it's reflecting, it's asking questions, it's learning about those folks' growth and their journey also. You know, how did they get along their
I love
path
that,
too?
yeah.
Mhm. Like, you know, where did they start? What was their
And
journey?
even where are they going?
Yes,
Like, do you have
Mm.
aspirations,
Right.
dreams, or something else you want to do?
I think that's a really important point, is that, again, we are at the point where we are trying to springboard our students into a career or into their next part of their
Mhm.
educational journey. But I think one of the things to talk about too is like, you know, there's a whole arc to your career journey,
Right.
right? And so, while you don't need to focus on that right now, if you, again, have these times where you're interacting with professionals, ask them not only how they got started,
Yes.
but where are they headed? I think that's a really great point.
right. For example, some teachers, we'll just look at elementary. Sometimes they start as a grade level teacher. Then they may want to go get their reading specialist endorsement. Maybe they want to get a special ed endorsement. Maybe they want to become a library media specialist. So there are options once you have this. And so just providing the gamut of options, but they see that once they're actually starting with their practicum and they talk to the folks who are on scene, for lack of a
Right.
better term.
Good ideas.
You know, one other thing that I will say, I feel like I have done now that I think about it, is there are times in my class where I might have students watch part of a documentary film of something where we've got some geoscientists doing some field work, doing some lab work, talking about some concept. And one of the things that I really try to do now is what I call, I guess, a sneaky competency,
Mhm.
where I'm actually going to ask them, you know, what jobs did you see geoscientists doing? You know, and so it's just that idea of what's an awareness of watching people, like, why are they doing what they're doing? You know, can you name those jobs? Can you name those skills that they're showing? The other thing I do during lectures now is I don't always just say geoscientists, but when we're talking about minerals, I say, well, a mineralogist would blah, blah, blah. A petrologist would do this. An oceanographer would do this. So I'm trying to name
Mhm.
some of those other careers that are broadly within geoscience.
Mhm.
And again, it's a subtle change, but I've also added pictures of people doing things on slides. So more people doing things, not just pretty landscapes, pretty
Mhm.
rocks in my pictures, but actually people doing the work. And that also, I think, is another sort of sneaky way
Nice.
to incorporate some of this into your assignments. Or even, like, I'm thinking in lab, there are a couple times where they have different roles that they play. And so it's like, okay, you're the engineer, you're the sedimentologist reporting, that sort of thing. So,
Even with accounting, right? There's different jobs.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
so what would be some different names that accountants would have?
Well, accountant, accountant one, accountant two, they have different thing, and senior accountant, and all the way controller, auditor, all the way to CFO and like vice president of accounting, all that we have like. And
Like a
accounting,
bank exam?
I'm
I
sorry,
interrupted you. Like a bank examiner, is that through accounting?
bank, you said?
Auditing?
Like,
Auditing, auditors are usually like, they check the work what accountants have already done.
Right.
So they can be third party or they can internal auditors too. So
Okay.
they make sure that, they make sure that all the work that is done is according to, GAAP or all the rules we are following or not, the accountants. And I do mention that during class, because I teach Principles 1 and Principles 2 class, and then I let them know. Most of my students are like business administration majors. In fact, one of the students changed the careers, being in my class, not career, the what do you call, major, from business to accounting. Because accounting has, the jobs are like, they pay well. If you just compare with a business administration degree, if you have accounting degree, and accounting jobs pay well. And one class I can say, like, then we have bookkeeping also. Let's say anybody who takes my class, Principles 1 class, they can actually do the bookkeeping job if they are really learning what I'm doing. So they'll be good to do any bookkeeping.
That's great.
So I don't know what exactly you were looking for. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
you
great.
did.
I spoke
Okay.
with a student yesterday who wanted to do forensic accounting, and she told me more about what that entailed. She said she was really into puzzles and figuring things out and problem solving, and that's what drew her specifically to that kind of accounting. And it seems like, she had an interest in that and wanted to go work for the FBI.
Oh, wow. Accounting has like it's forensic accounting is there, and with data analytics now, and also AI. Oh,
Yes.
there's so many different things in accounting right now.
Yes.
And big data, it's one thing. Financial accounting, managerial accounting. There's so many different careers.
Mm-hmm.
so we're getting towards the end of our time together here. So we just wanted to finish up with a few sample behaviors.
Sure. So I wanted to just circle back really quickly before we dug into this. But I did like what Kathy had in her sample from the education was that that learning was continuous. So if you shared from your syllabus or if you didn't, but if you could really kind of focus in on that learning is continuous, and that with this this first competency, the most important thing is that we want students to know that regardless of what career they go into, that learning does not stop. So if you're preparing students for, say, a licensing exam, that may be the easiest way to incorporate that into your syllabus. So, and then once they pass that licensing exam, likely they're going to have to take it again in a couple of years, whether it's a teaching license, whether it's an accounting license, whether it's some other type of a nursing license, that you will always have to prepare for that. That's a perfect example of the competency 1. So some other behaviors, the easiest one, being aware of your own strengths and areas of development. So maybe doing a self-assessment in your course. We have self-assessments in Career Coach. The second one, or maybe we could just tag team that. How about that?
Yeah, I think the idea is thinking about identifying areas for growth. So I think, again, that kind of knows where you have your strengths, but we're not going to say weaknesses, but opportunities for growth.
Mm-hmm.
And like I will have students that say that they're interested in geoscience, but they don't even know kind of where to go next. And so that's a way I can help them grow as they, not only gain awareness, but learn more information about what skills they need to shore up on as they move forward.
And then the third one, developing a plans and goals. So that is something we're really working hard on with our admissions team and our advising team. We're working hard to incorporate Career Coach into the Navigate system so that students identify their career plan as early as possible and as soon as possible, so that they're taking courses that identify with that career plan, and that there are measurable tracking objectives so that not only they can see it, well, I'm hoping so it's color coded so they can see it. Green, they're on track. Yellow, need a little work. And red, definitely get them back on track. So that you all can see it too and help encourage them along the way.
I'm gonna go a little bit out of the box here. I'm gonna take the next three, because
Help
I think
yourself.
they're very much interrelated. So one of the things that I want to encourage my students to do is really to think about advocating for themselves, and realizing that if they're curious, they need to find out the information on their own. It won't always just dump right into their inbox, right? And so there's this piece of not only being willing to ask questions, know when you don't know something and that you need to ask questions, and seeking out those continual opportunities. Particularly too, I think part of this is going to be external to the classroom and needing to emphasize that maybe taking on some duties or positions at work that might help them get more management skills, or perhaps stepping up and saying that they're interested in a work study position that works in a lab, or connecting to some of the research that's happening in VCU. All of those are opportunities that students can take, but they have to be willing to kind of make that first step. And so if you create a welcoming environment that allows them to work with that curiosity, I think that's beneficial.
Okay, then I'll just finish up with the last three. So find your advocates, find your mentors, being able to step outside the box, being able to seek out those references that we talked about earlier. Look for opportunities to better yourself. So we mentioned the conferences earlier, those professional organizations, being open to those opportunities. And then finally, voluntarily participate in the further education, the training. It isn't like, oh, I have to go to something. No, you need to seek yourself out. You never know what you're going to learn until you go to something like that. And so as leaders in our academic departments, is providing those opportunities for students too, making sure that it's in your syllabus, exposing it to students, and then being there as a support also.
All right, we'll hang out for a couple more minutes, but if you take some time, fill out the survey, give us a little bit of feedback, we would appreciate it. And again, we'll be in touch and hope to see you in a couple weeks for the next session.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.